So my kitchen renovation continues with this morning's DIY project. The counters are in. We showed you that last time. Time for the tile backsplash now. I tried out a product that promises to make it so much easier, but take a look at what happened. You'll remember when we demoed out the old tile backsplash, we had to cut all the drywall out. So you see we re-drywalled, we mudded and taped it just to get a nice smooth surface, and now we're ready for tile. But I've never done this before, so I had to bring in the big guns.
You can tell who that is, right?
What's that saying you always say? When a job is once begun,
never leave it till it's done. Be the job big or small, do it well or not at all.
My dad bringing his dad-isms with the tiling lesson.
All we have to do is knock down these little high parts of drywall.
So we just ran a drywall knife along the wall to make it smooth for tile. I decided to try tiling with this somewhat new product. It's called Muscle Bound. It's like a big double-sided sticker for the tile, so you don't have to use the messy tile adhesive.
this one roll is 30 bucks, and it says it covers 15 square feet, which isn't much, and that's pretty expensive.
But it also promises to make the tiling job much faster because you don't have to wait to grout. With the tile adhesive, you have to let it set for 24 hours before grouting. We measured out our sections.
Do you know how to count 3/8?
Don't try to make me look dumb on camera.
And cut the muscle bound with a utility knife, then smoothed it up on the wall, pushing out air bubbles with a drywall knife. After covering this one section of wall, we peeled off the top layer.
That's how strong that stuff is. How cool is that? When you push, you can't take it off.
For our first row, we put 1/16" spacers down and pushed the tile on. Worked great. And for the simple cuts, we used a scribe tile cutter.
And then
Pop it.
Dad says make sure you put the factory edge of the tile next to the other factory edge, the cut side out. Then we got to a tricky cut around an outlet, which called for us to use the wet saw.
So you're going to have to cut it here. We're going to have to cut it here. Draw them on your tile.
We used a speed square to mark straight lines on the tile, and pro tip here, use a crayon. It's perfect for marking the tiles because it doesn't wash off with the wet saw. To make those outlet cuts, you cut several lines a 1/4 inch apart, then knock the chunks off and grind out the pieces left for a smooth edge.
With that muscle bound, I don't know whether or not you have to, if you can put a piece of wet tile up on it or if it has to dry out a little bit.
Oh.
But let's go in and check it for fit.
Okay.
And that's the problem. The wet tile does not stick to that muscle-bound tile mat. And you can't place any more tiles until that tile is installed. So this product did not work for me. It also didn't hold its stick for very long after peeling the top off. The next day, I switched to a traditional tile adhesive. This was pre-mixed. A gallon tub had way more than I needed for the rest of the kitchen. My dad recommended just spreading it on the back of the tiles rather than on the wall. It's a lot less messy that way, and it doesn't squeeze excess mastic into your grout joints. This stuff also made it easier to put the tile up and then slide it into place against the spacers. I let it all set for a full day, then came back to grout. I bought pre-mixed grout in white, scooped some onto my grout float, and pushed it in all directions onto the tile to get it into those gaps. This is hard work. Your arms and your hands are going to be sore. And only work in small sections, about 5 square feet at a time, so you can thoroughly clean off the grout before it dries on the face of the tile. Now, this takes wetting the sponge in a bucket of water, squeezing out almost all of that moisture, then wiping down the tile several times. And there will still be a grout haze on the tile after you're done, but I was able to clean that off with Windex the next day. Here she is. Showed you that
Wow.
quick before and after. So my dad estimates that with the drywall and the tiling, I saved myself about $3,000.
You inspired me, Danielle, because I told you this, that I started to skim coat the front of the front room in my house.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of you.
Because there was this really ugly texture, Steve. It looked like peaks and valleys on the wall there. So all last weekend, I still have work to do this weekend.
Yeah,
but then
skim
it's gonna be the
coating's hard.
priming and then the painting.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Well, I want to know when you're going to start giving Dad equal credit. Dad and Danielle DIY. Come on
Listen,
there. Equal billing.
I know. One day.
All his buddies are going, yeah, Steve, right, good.